Firstly, congratulations to all of you for getting shortlisted for NMIMS. I think it's a very, very big opportunity this time for everybody to get all the campuses cutoffs to be the same. So you have it in your hands now to convert. Okay, great. So quickly now, everybody, super congratulations for this NMIMS call. On the chat, can you all type in your NMAT scores? Okay, great. So quickly now, everybody, super congratulations for this NMIMS call. On the chat, can you... Okay, lovely. I can see. Oh, amazing. Great, great, great. Interesting. Good score getters, like at 236, 241, 214, 213. I think Niladri, we spoke in the evening as well also. 246, 216, 211, 248, 270, 229, 228, 251, 241, 224, 229, 233, 241, 256, 220. Okay, lovely, interesting, nice. I think the lowest I have right now is 211. And 270 was the highest. Okay. All right. Hardik, you have pharma call, right? 247. Okay. All right. Great. Lovely. That's great. So congratulations, everyone, for your good scores right now. And Hiren, people who are saying that score doesn't matter, that's not really true. You can just make sure that you focus on your entire preparation now, and the interviews, it is equal for everybody, irrespective of, it's not just for you. There are a lot of students who were obviously expecting that because I have a 240 or 250 plus score, the interview selection is going to be much easier and a cakewalk right now. But don't worry, we can all still make sure that we convert your calls, right? So absolutely, it is of weight. It's not that it's not. See, that's how it has been for all the IIMs as well. Also, if you look at the IIMs interviews process, CAT weightage has been 30%, right? So it's on the same lines right now. Your current weightage is NMAT weightage will be 20%. Your competency test weightage is 50%. Personal interview 10%. WorkX will be 10%. And your HSC and graduation will be 10%, like past academics, which has weightage of 5% for HSC and graduation 5%. The only thing which is not going to be there is your weightage for 10 standard is not there. Okay, so that's number one. And for everybody who's saying with the 20% of value or not, even every 1% matters for your final selection, right? So make sure you keep that in mind. Okay, before I go ahead and tell you guys more about what is competency and everything, we also have your seniors from NMIMS out here. I would love them to share their experience and interviews with everybody. So quickly, let me check. Aditya, Anukool, Kshiti, Prathamesh, are you guys connected?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, yes.
Hi, ma'am. Yes.
Yes,
Great.
ma'am.
Hi. So let's get started. Kshiti, why don't you give a quick introduction about you, your profile, and how was your interview experience like for the NMIMS interviews?
Yeah, ma'am, sure. So, hi everyone. I'm Kshiti Bahirat, and currently I'm working at GE Healthcare as a part of the ITDP program. So, I received a PPO from them last year itself, and it's a very great moment to be here because just 2 years back, I was at your place, very nervous and anxious about how will things work out and all those stuff. So, my NMAT score was 236. So I'll just quickly tell you all how did my interview go. So I had two panelists. The first panelist was pretty much into the hygiene questions and asking me more about myself, whereas the second panelist was more into and very keen on the SOP part. So each and everything which was written on SOP. So there was something I got grilled a lot, but yeah, I think. SOP is something which you all might have started writing also. So be very like careful while writing SOPs and be very very thorough with what you all put in that SOPs. So that was one thing. Another experience was that you have to stay calm. Like that was one thing feel that it got me through the interview because I was grilled to a very extreme extent, but one thing which I had in me was I did not panic, I did not lose my calm, and a smile on your face, like it can just do wonders. So please don't panic. And right from the time you enter the room, I think your actions are observed. So be very careful and in your demeanor and how you all are even walking and each and everything. So that was one part. And I think for me, they also asked me a general knowledge question, but that was related to my SOP. So if something I've mentioned in SOP, so for example, just example, if I've mentioned regarding IT industry or my past work ex, so they used to ask me that some questions regarding IT sector, which is currently going on. So that was one part. And yeah, I think all in all it was more about SOP and your confidence and at least know on things which are going around you all, so that I think will really help. So yeah, that was it, I think. Thank
Okay,
you.
interesting. So, Shiti, how much work ex did you have before NMIMS?
I had 2.2 years of work ex.
Okay, lovely. And where are you currently placed?
G healthcare.
Great. Lovely. Yes. Aditya, can you go next?
Uh, sure, ma'am. Am I visible?
Yes, yes, you're visible. Just give us a brief about your profile, pre and post MBA, and then we'll talk about the interview.
Sure. So I am a typical GEM profile, general engineer male with around 2 odd years of work ex. So for those people, like I face a lot of problems despite getting 98 plus, and I did not get, the top IM calls. So for them, NMIMS is a fairly good bet because your diversity might not play as much of a big role. So give it your best. That being said, again, uh, it's up to you, the interview, the competency test on how you convert it. So my profile is post engineering. I worked around 2 years at Deloitte USA. Then again, MBA at NMIMS. I got a 258 in my NMAT, and post that my merit rank was somewhere around 200. I don't remember it exactly, but yeah, that was that. And I interned at Bain, and my final placements were at Everest Group. So that's a summary of my profile. I'll quickly give a run through of the what that I had. So what isn't there, so I'll just skip that for now. We have the PI. So my PI began with the first question that I wrote in my SOP, right? So the SOP is very critical. Three to four questions were asked from my SOP. So the questions were around key. You have mentioned Deloitte, so tell me more about this award that you have mentioned, etc., etc. So whatever you're writing in your SOP, be thorough with it. Like go into, say, whether it's your hobby, whether it's your work ex, whether it's your internship, whether it's your degree, be well prepared about that. Then I was also asked a couple of general questions like when was the woman, like when do you know when is the Women's Day? So it was 8th March and it was round the corner because 1 month from my NMIMS interview. So we expect questions like that out of the box. I was also asked something like around Earth Day, which I could not answer, but I just was honest and said, yeah, I do not remember, which I I don't think impacted it much. So that's one thing. Additionally, see, I what I did was I also had some more questions, generic questions, hygiene questions, that is challenges I faced in life, instances where you led. So how I would just tell you on how to go about it is divide your preparation into 4 5 phases. That's prepare your academics if you're a fresher, prepare your work-ex very well, right? Say, for example, if you have, say, I worked at Deloitte, right? So I was asked the question, uh, tell me about the competitors and arrange them in order of the revenue, right? So work-ex, your CEO and everything should be prepared. Be well aware about the state that you're coming from. I was asked who's the governor of my state, West Bengal, right? So be prepared well about your state. Then also any hobbies and your CV, whatever you have, those are things that you should be prepared about and read about NMIMS. A lot of you have written in your SOPs, "Ki I am inspired by faculty and alumni network." And if I ask you name two reputed alumni, you cannot even tell one, right? So that's a very big uh, red flag for the interview that you have maybe copied your SOP. So don't do that. So that's pretty much it. Apart from that, be well versed about current affairs, like say the Israel-Palestine war, Russia-Ukraine war, elections and stuff. So you might be asked your view on that. So I have a view on all those points. So that's pretty much it from my side.
Okay, lovely. That's really great. Yes, Prathamesh, let's go with you next.
Hello, ma'am. Audible?
Yes, you're audible.
So I got in last year and in the first year currently, and my profile was a typical commerce profile. I'm a commerce fresher right now. I graduated last year and I straight away got into the MBA. So my interview basically revolved around my profile only, and I tried to put in the words that I had mentioned in my SOP, but the interview was focused on my profile. So a couple of things that they covered was the basic economic concepts. They asked me to explain it like like they were the 5-year-olds. So they asked me amortization and market cap and what was the GDP. Other than that, they also I think the budget was a couple days earlier only. So they asked me what were the highlights of the union budget then. Also, other than the most important thing that I felt was my interview was 15 minutes and around 5 minutes was spent around there was a Bisleri bottle in front of me. So the interviewer, it's a professor, they're professor now for me. So they handed me that bottle and they told me to market it in 3 different ways. How would I generate 3 revenue streams from that? So that was one thing that stood out for me. Other than that, mostly from what I've heard is the interview basically depends on the professor or whoever the panelist is. My interview was a typical stress interview, I think, because everything that I mentioned, if I mentioned that I had an interest in business and that I wanted to start something on my own. So they went deep dive into it and they asked follow-up questions based on that, that why don't you join it right now and why are you doing an MBA? Also, they kind of also pushed me to why didn't I go for a job? And so what I feel was that staying strong and sticking to your answer is very important. Like if you have a particular reason for doing the MBA, that should be the sole reason and you should not deter from it, however strong the questions are. That was my experience last year. And my NMAT score was, I think, around 260, 262.
Okay, great. Interesting. Someone mentioned that, can you repeat the Bisleri point? Can you get that? Repeat that. What was
Yeah, sure. So the interview was the place where the interview was. So there's a table in front of them, and they had a couple of Bisleri bottles. So just out of the blue, the panelist picked up the bottle and he asked me to tell 3 different revenue streams that I could generate. Like how would I market it in 3 different ways? So what I told them there was to that I could have a vending machine and I could sell it to distributorships. Also, I could have a direct sales marketing strategy. So that was pretty much it. But I think it's an impromptu question and they generally try to stress you out. So sticking to whatever the first answer you gave is very important.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. That's interesting. Yes, Anukul, you can also go ahead. Did you share?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am also a typical gem in a gem category. I had my engineering from SRM, worked for about 2 years in L&T, and then I switched. So, as a software engineer, my SOP revolved around my engineering days as well as a bit on my 10, 12. So they were focusing more on my engineering, which I actually wanted to. So somehow for my interview, it revolved entirely around SOP. It revolved around how I have transited from one role to another within the same company. And I had written that I got a managerial inclination because of a few incidents or a few points in my work ex. So they focused around that. Then they gave a few situation-based questions. Some had actually occurred during my tenure, so I could give them live examples, and some were based on practice that what I could have done. So it really mattered when I could relate to them with live examples, either through mine or with a colleagues as well. That was a big point. And yes, I was nervous, but it did matter once if you're calm on pace. For us, it was an online, but when you go there physically, the body language will talk a lot.
Okay. Lovely. This is great. So quickly, yes, everybody, some of you guys had asked in questions in between that, your specializations, should you go ahead? Generic questions, how many panelists? So how many panelists did you guys have? Like, I remember I had 2 panelists, and that's been usually the trend for everyone.
Two.
I had three, ma'am.
Okay, so you had 3 panelists. Great. So 2 to 3 panelists is what you can look at. Yes, Maitri, you have a question, you can ask. Yeah, you can unmute and ask your questions, guys. Everybody, actually, you can unmute and ask your questions as well. Need
Am I
not
audible?
type. Yes, you are audible.
I am so sorry. This is related to the PI form that I filled. So during the SGPI to percentage converter, my college did not specify any particular formula or anything. So I went ahead with the generalized formula that there was. But now I got a mail from my college telling me that that is what they don't use. I've already submitted my application and it is not the right percentage.
You can reach out to NMIMS and inform them about the change.
Ma'am, they'll do it.
That's NMIMS decision, not my decision. I can tell you what is the best way ahead to do. So please drop in an email with the correct information and inform them that you had submitted before you got a response from college. They
Okay.
should be able to help you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Great. Yes. Anybody else let's focus on the questions regarding your NMIMS interviews or life at NMIMS. What would you like to know more? Competency test is something very new, so that I will take it up for you guys in some time. But remaining things, yes, you can ask the seniors out here. They can help you.
Ma'am, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So one of you said that they asked you why an MBA directly after your graduation and not a job. So how did you answer to that?
Oh, so I basically told them that I had developed an interest in doing a business very early on. I had a background of that. So I just mentioned, I made it clear to them that I was clear on my vision and the MBA was the right path for me and not a typical work ex right after college. I'd be wasting my time.
Okay, great.
Hi, I have a question. Actually, for someone who has like a really short amount of experience, about 2 or 3 months, and is currently working, uh, like, should I expect some kind of a grilling question related to some career questions, or like, kind of the question choices that I'm making or something like that?
See, that has got nothing to do with amount of experience you have. Whether you have 3 months experience or 3 years experience, we expect you to be aware of answering these questions like, what is your future goal, short-term, long-term goals? Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? All of this is expected out of you. So Please make sure you prepare yourself for that. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, quickly now, since based on everybody's feedback and interview experiences also that you have heard, very important what you need to focus on right now. Okay, just give me a second. Yeah. So like, for example, like the pointers where Aditya mentioned to you. So Aditya is also a veteran now who has been training students, evaluating SOPs, evaluating all of your SOPs on a yearly basis. And this is something that comes out of experience of so many years. Okay. You all have to make sure your SOP is a pure reflection of yourself. The questions have always revolved around that. And it's not just based on 1 or 2 years. Even my interviews, which was like, yes, a decade old, but that also interview revolved around the SOP. So that's like the first starting point, because that gives them a clear idea of who you are. So, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have gone through all the SOP videos or not, but if you haven't, please watch them before you make your final SOP and submit it. You need to showcase at least 3 to 5 wow factors about you in the SOP itself, because that is going to give them questions to, that's like leading the interview yourself. You have the best opportunity to write your strengths and your achievements and give it to them. Ask me about this, right? So make sure you do that. You are giving them information that I want to be asked questions on so and so areas. So that's number one thing, okay, about your SOP. Regarding the SOPs, I think a lot of students have been asking about your SOP evaluations and is it done, not done? It is ongoing, okay. There is some issue. Most of the students are joining on Zoom, say, on our YouTube as well also right now. So for everybody, you go to your profile portal. Once you have logged in, refer to your exam score and SOP section. Click on the SOP and forms and upload your SOPs here. If you have submitted your SOP, you will get your SOP feedback here itself. You will get an email alert that your SOP has been evaluated and it has been ongoing for everyone. You will be getting your SOP evaluations even post midnight. That's when all of us have been working as well also. So, but till tomorrow, everybody's SOPs will be evaluated. As of now, if I have to say, 116 SOPs are done. Next thing which you have to do is, if you have not yet submitted, please tonight only submit your SOPs, because then it will become difficult for all of us to evaluate your SOPs. Okay. So that's the first point. Second thing, now you need to be aware of your academics. Now, when I say academics, like the way Prathamesh was asked questions, you should be aware of the basic concepts and you should have the knowledge to explain it to the panelists. Okay. In my interview, I was also asked questions regarding engineering basics, though I had 20 months of work ex in Infosys, right? So you can expect कि it's not necessary सिर्फ freshers को ही academics के बारे में पूछेंगे. They can ask others as well. And then your work ex, absolutely, you need to know your industry, your CEO, everybody, especially all the IT folks. Be ready. And very common thing which is going on right now is the 90 hours work week. What's your opinion, your inputs on the same, because you come from the same industry, right? So anything which is there, you need to not just be aware of the current affair situation, but you need to have an opinion about that, so that you can, the evaluator needs to understand what is your thought process. ठीक है? Having facts and figures, कोई भी newspaper पढ़ के बता सकता है. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear your take on it. So make sure you start building that opinion. That's very important. Okay. Next is your location based, absolutely, and your entire background. Like, for example, your family. Who else is there in your family? What do they do? What is their background? That is also something which you should be aware of. Your hobbies and interests, anything that you would love to do. I mean, one of the questions I was asked is, if I give you 1 year to do anything you want, I mean, like a sabbatical, what would you do? So, that is the kind of questions you should be also be ready to. That's in a way indirectly asking your hobbies, interest, and passion, right? They need not ask you directly, ki, what is your hobby? Okay, so don't expect literal direct questions coming at you. About NMIMS, you have to know very, very well. And एलुमनाई के नाम आदित्य ने कहा था, आप लोग को 3-4 भी नाम नहीं याद आएंगे. Please leverage and make use of your Alumni Connect sessions. You all have met multiple alumni in these sessions. You will meet them ahead who will take your mock interviews as well. Also, most alumni who are CXOs from our, the legacy of NMIMS as well. But whenever you choose someone, see how can you relate your personal goals or profile to them. Even the same thing applies to when you write in your SOPs. Sometimes some of you guys write very fancy quotes. I mean, they sound really nice to read, but what's the connection with you? That connection is missing. So then don't put that out there. Okay? Every word that you write on your SOP, you should be able to explain it with an example. Explain it with your personal life example, not by generic examples. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, coming to current affairs, yes, you have to know what's happening in the current affairs across all the platforms. Okay. And now, very interestingly, what are we planning to do ahead with you? The first and the biggest question mark that arises for everyone is this new thing, which is competency test, 50% weightage. I know a lot of you, the first few remarks which I read right before we started the session, ki score ki value nahi hai. Aisa nahi hai. ठीक है, स्कोर की वैल्यू है. Whatever you have got, everything has a value. Every 0.5% also makes a difference. Okay, it's the similar process how it is there for the IIMs. Cap IIM calls, everybody gets a call, right? Then there's a final merit list prepared. The weightage is 30%. Same way, from something which NMAT used to be the most important weightage, it has come down to a lower weightage. That's okay. Do not worry about that because that's not in your hand. Abhi hum change nahi kar sakte hain, right? So no point on wasting or burning your energies on something which is not in your control. Rather put in that time, efforts, and your mind share on something which will add value to your final programs, right? So now, what is this competency test? I hope all of you guys have been listening to all the videos. Thankfully, whatever I have been suggesting till now has been coming as well. So just make sure you keep on listening and doing the same ahead as well. This competency test will have certain aspects of your aptitude, certain aspects of psychometric, and it will be something somewhere around AI-driven based process as well. Like I mentioned to you, so I work very closely with the students, with the placements team for their batch prep and everything as well also. Very first time this year, we have seen a lot of talks about AI being done by the leadership of the college. When they are doing something like this, that means they will incorporate it in the university as well also, right? So that is why the competency test could have aspects of psychometric aptitude and an AI-based test. Like I mentioned in today's 7 p.m. class as well also, most of you guys were not there. Stop missing your classes firstly. Make sure you attend all of them. We practiced a few random psychometric type of situational questions, different formats that can come in. One of the formats we had done in that session. Similar lines, like I had mentioned, AI-based kaise ho sakta hai? It can be an AI-based video interview, which is happening in a lot of universities abroad, where they ask you questions on, a video interview format. So we could also expect something similar to come for us. Okay? Now, secondly, some of you guys are writing you didn't get any notifications. No one's going to give you guys any reminders, guys. Please remember your schedule by heart and do not miss out onto this. All the links, everything is there on your dashboard. Y'all are all grown up folks now. So we will have a special 3 days boot camp, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m., 20th to 22nd of Jan, where we will focus on preparing for the personal interviews and a little bit of what is your psychometric aptitude revision. There will be no classes on aptitude revision. That is all added to your dashboard already. Just log into your dashboard, come to this GD.PI section. In your booklets, there are psychometric tests and the NMAT Maximizer books. These two sections will help you to brush up your concepts and ideas for psychometric and your aptitude part. Then you need to make sure you go into these dossiers, read up about all of these specializations, marketing, finance, strategy, HR, consulting, at least 5 main subjects at least you should do. Trust me, these are dossiers which are inspired by the NMIMS dossiers which is given in college for placements prep. So ये सारी चीजें आपको आनी चाहिए पहले से ही. First year में they will teach you. But if you know it before and you talk about this in your interviews, you are impressing your panelists in the first go itself, right? So read about them. Then we have the written ability test is removed. But if you have the time, I would want you all to still go through the case-based what, because you never know if that is a part of my competency assessment. A small case scenario is given to us. Okay? It can be because nobody knows what is competency test. So itne saal se case study was always a part of it. Like in offline my days, we used to have a case study discussion. It was never a group discussion. Then they in HR, it used to be a written case discussion. So you used to write the case studies. Then when it moved to online, it became a written case-based what. So case studies, situations, scenarios have always been a part, right? So read these case-based what. We can expect them to come in our competency assessment also. Your critical reasoning, very important. Decision making, something which comes in ZAT. Again, that is situation-based questions. वो भी आ सकते हैं. तो read up about this. ठीक है? And current affairs में से start reading the GK articles, monthly compendiums to know what is happening. The GK articles will tend to give you an idea about how to create your opinion on each of these situations. Okay? So ये सारी मेहनत आपको करनी है. And again, I will repeat, even if you're a 270 or a 210, same amount of efforts have to be put in by each one of you guys to make sure you are converting your calls. Do not let your guard down right now. You put in your hard work and efforts to get a good NMAT score. Now put in extra efforts on your preparation. 2 hours every day should go in your interview preparation because NMIMS has always been a cutthroat competition. Okay, I'm saying that again for you guys. Interviews have always been cutthroat. So make sure your hygiene interview questions are thoroughly done. Thoroughly मतलब अच्छे से सारे videos देखो, 3 बार ही सुनो, अपने answers note down करो, लिखो, and start practicing them. You will have 2 mock interviews or 1 depending on the course you have taken with your NMIMS seniors. You can start booking your slots. They are already available. Take your mock interviews. The panelists will grill you. And also along with grilling, you give you feedback and how to prepare ahead. So make sure you take that feedback very constructively. Okay? So that's number 1. Pavni, the time is 8 to 9 p.m. You guys can actually please take a screenshot of this and keep so that you all don't forget your time. I have mentioned all the timings here. Your daily live classes are 9 to 10 p.m. Every Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. is a session which I take for NMIMS folks specifically. 3-day special session. We are doing 20th, 21st, and 22nd. As of now, there's also an update that probably by 25th Jan, we will come to know from college what is competency test. As and when any update comes, we will start making sure we update and prepare you accordingly for that as well. But that is something which we will have to wait and watch. Okay? Now, a lot of you guys are asking about faculties and a lot of intricacies of NMIMS. So firstly, let me have the session off YouTube. Then we will talk to you about the faculties and people who take the interviews. So that will be something for the closed rooms only. Okay, so the people who have been on the YouTube, thank you so much for joining in, and we shall see you guys in the sessions in the classrooms later on. Okay, yes, that is done. Great.